Welcome back, friends. It's time for a furious rant. So, in my 10 years of uploading content to YouTube, I don't recall a video that has been more controversial than the drilling of this well. For some reason, this brought out every crazy and lunatic into the comment section from all walks of life. I have banned, I'll bet, close to 100 people from just being abusive, from threatening, just from ignorance, and just banned for life. I just don't have time with it. And then every time I bring this up, oh, free speech. No, you have no free speech here. This is my YouTube channel, and I police the comments, and you are allowed to comment and to participate because I will it. If I don't will it, then I ban you for life and you don't have access. Well, I'll just create another account. Go ahead and create another account. You know what it takes for me to ban you for life? One click. What does it take you to create a ghost account? A lot of time, so do what you want. I couldn't care. Actually, the truth of the matter is it helps the channel because it shows it drives engagement. Negative comments, thumbs down, thumbs up, it makes no difference as long as you're getting them. That's the only thing that matters. It just shows engagement. So who were some of the critics and where did they come from? Well, of course, the Europeans are always quick to chime in, and they're very fond, no matter what I do or what we do over here, of reminding us and telling us how backward and stupid we are and how much better everything they have is. So I'm used to that. I don't take too much offense to that. That's been going on since the dawn of time. And then, of course, we get the guys that maybe for one summer or they knew somebody or their granddad at once upon a time was a well driller and wanted to run down, oh, you're using the wrong casing, oh, you drilled in the wrong spot, or criticizing the workers, oh, they don't know how to wear their boots, or they're using their tools wrong, or this and that. These guys that drilled this well, these are third generation in this area. Their grandfather was here drilling wells. Yes, these are divining rods. We're going to get to that in a minute. The guy that was drilling this, the head driller here, he told me that his dad wouldn't let him touch the drill rig for a decade. He was there hands-on as an apprentice before he would turn him loose on that thing. So, the thing that came up over and over again is, what a scam. Those guys charge thousands of dollars for one day work. That's what a total ripoff. What an ignorant statement. You know what it costs to buy one of these drilling rigs? Not to mention maintaining it and keep it going. To go buy a brand new drilling rig is going to cost you over $1 million. 3 generations of experience. Do you don't think that has a value? Do you know what a special skill set it is to be a well driller? Do you know how many there are across the world or across the country? A handful. Could you do it? No. Can most people do it? No. It's a very, very finite skill, and also they run a lot of risk. They assume risk as well. They could break their rig. That's a fragile piece of equipment. They could leave $6,000, $7,000 tripod shifted, $6,000, $7,000 worth of drill bits and hammers down in the hole. It just goes on and on. What else did we have? We had guys, several guys, unsubscribe. I'm coming unsubscribing because you just completely lost touch. Who can afford to have an expensive piece of equipment like that come out on their land, and why do you need 2 wells, and you're a liar because you said the ram pump did everything you needed to do. Well, it goes on and on and on. There's a very specific reason why I dug this well that I can tell you, but I'm not going to tell you. I will tell you shortly, soon. There's some big things happening out here, some big changes being made, and this is one of the most important parts of it. But it's not a sure thing yet, so we're not going to talk about it. So let's get back on the positive. So what were the stats on the well? I got to straighten this tripod. It's making me crazy. How deep is it, and what did it cost? We hit water at 160 feet. So this is a steel casing right here. There's 40 feet of this. This was put in, they come in 20-foot sections. They pushed a 20-foot section down, they welded it, and then they put another one on, and that's what pressed it down to bedrock. This whole well, we hit the water that we wanted at 285 feet. We originally hit water at 160 at about 2 gallons a minute, and that wasn't enough. I wanted more than that. So we kept drilling and kept drilling. This is a solid rock well. When we hit bedrock, basalt rock at 40 feet, it was solid rock the entire time, all the way down, until we hit what we're going to probably end up with about 15 gallons a minute. So 300 feet, roughly, 15 gallons a minute. What does it cost to put something like this in? Well, when everything is said and done, when you figure the pump and the pressure tank and all of the switches and the electrical and the permits and the move-in fee and all that, probably about $20,000 pretty close, maybe just a little bit less than that. I know it's a lot of money, but a piece of property with a well on it is very valuable, because the well guys were telling me, he says it's pretty common for them to buy raw land that doesn't have a well on it, and because they have the ability and the skill set, they'll go ahead and put a well in. They said they can sell that land for $100,000 more than if it didn't have a well on it. Why? Well, because people don't want to assume the risk. Yeah, you could put a well, you could call them to your land and put a well in and figure it's going to cost you about $20,000, but maybe it could cost you more, it could cost you less. He was telling me there's a place not too far from here that has a whole bunch of 1,000-foot holes on it that they've never hit water on. And can you imagine that? You know, you're paying, you know, by the foot, and you're going, and it's up to the homeowner or the landowner. Do you want to keep drilling? And they've dug several 1,000-foot holes and no water at all, and had to go drill somewhere else. So to be able to buy a piece of land that already has a documented well that is guaranteed to produce a certain amount of water, and you don't have to assume the risk, people will pay for that. You know, so that's kind of, you know, it's all kind of relative, right? So what are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to put the pump in tomorrow. Today I'm going to be actually doing the excavating. I'm going to start doing the trenching. I'm using the divining rods here to find the water lines and the power lines, different things under here, and I'll show you how you can do that. I'm also going to be putting a hand pump on this. I've always wanted a hand pump. We're going to put a really high quality, a simple pump, a stainless steel pump, so that, and that's kind of the reason why I chose this particular area. Not because I thought that there might be more water here than anywhere else. It was just more convenient for me. I wanted a hand pump close to the house, you know, for emergency situations or hard times or who knows what. So that will be going in. That's ordered. That will ship tomorrow, and we'll be here probably Friday. We'll get started on that. These are my divining rods, or witching rods. They're just some heavy copper bent into an L shape. Now, the first time I saw this done, I'll never forget it. I thought it was witchcraft, and I wasn't sure how I felt about the whole thing. I was worked as an excavating contractor. We were looking for an old buried line that was put in a water line that was in a old metallic type of pipe, a non-metallic type of pipe. So we couldn't find it with detectors, or had no record of it. So we hired an old guy that came out. It was in a huge field, and we had no idea where it was at. He came out with a couple of rods similar to this, and walked around, and I watched the rods cross together, and he said, dig right here. That's where it's at. And we dug down there in the middle of that field, and we found it. Now, I don't understand this, and I don't know where the power comes from or what it is, but I can tell you that it works. I can find buried power lines. I can find all my leach field lines. I can find water lines that were put in before I ever lived here, by walking across them and how these rods react. What is it? Where does it come from? Is it magic? I don't know. Just looking at it logically, when you look at the importance of water to people, because we can't live without it for very long, you know, 2 or 3 days, 4 days. Is it an ability? Is it a gift that's been given by God for people to find water in austere environments? Who knows? I don't know. And whatever you think, it doesn't really matter, because it does work. Simple as that. You can have multiple people try it. The fascinating thing about it is that you have to think about what you're looking for. So there is a a metaphysical aspect. I don't know, but you have to. If you're looking for power, you need to be thinking about power. If you're looking for water, you need to be thinking about water. If you're looking for, and I also notice that things that are man-made, the wires, the divining rods tend to go out for me. And things that are like springs and water that are natural sources, they'll come together. Even water lines seem to come together, and power lines and phone lines and other things seem to come apart. I don't know. So what I've done, just so you guys can't say I'm cheating here, I don't typically do this, is I've cut some sleeves. So this is just a PEX pipe, and that just allows these to rotate. So what's going to happen is, as we walk across the ground, not knowing where the wires are, these dividing rods, they're kind of out there seeking. It's crazy. And you hold them very still, and when you come to that water source, they'll cross hard right there, and that's where you mark them. So I keep these flags in my pocket, and you can mark them, and you can lay out your lines so that when we do our excavating, we're not going to be tearing stuff up. Shop's over here, house is over there, water well's right there. This shop has power and it has water that's being fed somewhere off the house. Who knows where, but they're running across here. power lines and a water line, or multiples, who knows. So I need to find those because we need to tie into them for the new well. So when I'm looking for water lines, or power, we'll start with the power lines. And again, I can't explain it, guys, but I'm thinking about power lines. Right there. So there's a line right here where I'm standing. So the fact that it went out instead of in my limited experience, means that it's something that is typically man-made. Now, if we continue on, we're going to be excavating through here, so we want to see if there's anything else that's going to be in here so we don't tear it up. Look at them searching. Right there, right off the corner. There's another one. So that looks like there's probably two lines. There's power. There's a weatherhead right there, power going in, and then there's water going in somewhere. Now, let's say you buy a piece of property and you're trying to map out where the septic system is. The septic system, if you don't know, if you live in the country, you don't have any sewer lines. So you put it through a series of what they call leach fields that percolates out into the ground. So it'll go into a tank, and then you'll have multiple lines that will run out. 300, 400 or 500 feet, I've put them in, long. So if you don't have a map and you don't know where they're at, that could be a problem. You don't want to put a garden right over top your leach field, right, and tear it all up. So you can easily find those lines. So I'm going to walk down here. I don't know where this is. All I know is that they run in here somewhere. And I needed to find these so I could keep the well 100 feet away from it by code. So if I go down here and start, these divining rods are going to tell me exactly where these leach lines are. So watch this. Okay, there's one. Now I know these run with the contour line, so once you pick a spot like that, you can find them quite easily. It's so powerful, the divining rods, that I can't hardly hold them straight. They want to turn out. Now our leach fields are typically going to be 10 to 20 feet apart. Our next one is right here. Is there a third one? Right here. I've put in hundreds of these systems, so I know how they're done. I know how they're laid out, and this is, whoops, I lost me flags. Is there a fourth? Right there. The fourth and final leach line. There's no more to it than that. 1, 2, 3, 4. In 10 minutes, I can have this entire leach field mapped up to the inch, exactly where everything is. Somewhere in the ground between where we're standing in the red barn over there is a water line that runs down to the shop that feeds the spigot down there. Where it's at, I don't know. I don't know if it feeds off the barn. I don't know if it feeds off the house. It could be either. So I'm thinking, and that's the interesting thing. I've tried it, and I tried thinking about other things, not at all what I was doing, and I don't have success. You literally have to think about what you're looking for, and that's very mysterious. Let's see if we can find the water line. Now I'm holding loose. I'm holding just the plastics here so I can't affect the spin, and I also lean it down a little bit so that for it to go straight. Look at them searching. Look at them searching. It's crazy. There's a line right here. What I think I'm picking up is the sewer line that feeds the septic tank. That's exactly what no, there's a water line here. There's a spigot right there's a water line going across here as well. Well, let's see if we can find the one going to the big barn. Coming together right here. We have a line here. Definitely a line right here. And that's about all there is to it. I mean, you can believe or not believe, say whatever you want to, but it doesn't change the fact that there's something to it, and it absolutely works. On the controversy, the other side of it, you know, as I was just thinking here about the wood. So if you didn't watch the video, I was talking to the well drillers and I was asking them. Now, keep in mind, these guys are third generation in this area. They've dug a lot of wells, thousands and thousands of feet. He was telling me that it's common for them to find undecayed, unrotted wood at deep depths. He said they found wood at over 800 feet, 850 feet, I think is what he said. I said, you're kidding? He says, yeah, not only wood, but charcoal as well. 800 feet deep. I said, have you ever had it analyzed? Do you know what type of wood it would be? You know, how interesting to find out what the species would be. He said, no, I never have. He goes, but I'll tell you, it's as sound as the very firewood in these piles that we're standing beside. And that just, I just marveled about that, you know, but that's incredible. And so the controversy was all of the explanations from the evolutionists. Oh, it's sedimental layers that have formed over millions and millions of years. You know, guys, you gotta, do you trust your own eyes? Do you trust your own senses? Can you see something and just know, you just instinctively know when something's true and something isn't true? You know, I'm always fond of saying the truth has a certain ring about it. When a guy finds wood, undecayed, unrotted wood at 800, 900, 1,000 feet, are you going to try, at this day and age, are you going to tell me that wood is going to last unrotted, undecayed for millions and millions of years? And I'm not talking petrified. He said sometimes they find petrified, but more times than not, they find normal wood. The argument that I would make is that this is quite a compelling proof towards the existence of a worldwide flood. Yeah, I know you don't want to hear it. Oh no, you know, here we go on there. But let's step away from the indoctrination. Let's step away from the pseudoscience and let's trust what we see and what we hear with our own eyes and make our own determinations. Because I don't care how many times I read it in a textbook. I don't care how many letters of and a credits is behind the guy's name telling me over millions and millions of years and given enough time and space and all of this nonsense, these things can happen. I mean, just for example, you take the complexity of one species. You take the complexity of the eyeball. You take the interdependence of species upon them on one another. Parasitical species versus their host species. The fact that they would have to evolve together to have this perfect symbiotic relationship is ludicrous. And when you take those complexities, try to imagine, use your reason, use your mind. Given enough time and space, what is the possibility of an Apple computer, a laptop washing up on the shore, complete with a charged lithium battery, with a numeric and alphanumeric keyboard system, with a functioning operating system? Given enough time and space, would it be possible for that to eventually to crawl out of the ocean or wash up on the shore? You ask yourself, well, that would be ludicrous. That would be, nobody would believe that, right? Yet you expect us to believe, people expect us to believe that the environment, these individual species, life itself, which is how much more complicated and how much more of a mystery than this computer that we use, which is a wonder in itself, the fact that there's not a design behind it, that there's not a mind behind it, that there's not a hand of creation behind it is ludicrous. Step away from what you've been told. Step away from people's think-sos. Trust your ears, trust your eyes, trust your reason, and trust your logic. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm just telling you, don't just parrot what you've been told. Reason, use your mind. You have it for a reason. God's given it to you to question and to search things out and make up your own mind. But when I hear from a reputable source that they're digging up unrotted wood that's as sound as the wood in my pile at nearly 1,000 feet, that hasn't been there millions of years. Has not. So keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you guys on the next video.